Growing up to me, it was always so simple. But within one generation, it's become so confusing, and it shouldn't be. So you saw that British decision, which rightly said, well, a biological woman is a woman, not a trans woman. So Winston has gone further and said, well, let's identify this and let's clarify it in the New Zealand Parliament. I think it'll pass. I think it should pass. The mere fact we've got to define it in law shows how far society has morphed into the ridiculous, or how far society has allowed itself to be pushed around by those who seek to redefine what a man or woman is. And you could argue that biology's back, or it never went away, says Neil. They should put this in as a government bill and pass it immediately. Winston Peters, Foreign Minister and leader of the New Zealand First Party, joins us now. Winston, g'day, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on. Why do you see the need to bring this private members bill in? And good on you for doing so. I personally think it's a good idea, but why are you doing it?
Well, look, we've always said, for a long time, my whole career, I've said the government's got no place in the nation's bedrooms. And it's not about being anti-anyone or anti-anything, but you recall there was a big argument a few years ago about men walking to the Invercargill swimming pools, bathing area, or changing rooms. And the local council didn't know what to do, and people would think it was right or wrong. And in the end, I came out back then and said, I cannot believe I'm hearing this, that women are in a bathing room and men are walking in. And at the time, the media, typically the mainstream media, accused me of going down a rabbit hole, or as one politician said, we were on another planet on the issue. And I made up mine back then, we're going to do something about it, and we set out to do something about it. And we've got this legislation in Parliament, which just says that what has been known by the mass majority of people in the world, that a male is, adult, biological male, and that's what a man is, and the female is an adult, biological female, and that's what a woman is. This should not be essential, but because we've gone so far down that track, compromising fundamental rights for absolute minority dreamt-up woke rights, something has to be done about it. We're going to do something about it.
Yeah, it seems to be that that the mere fact we have to do it as a sad reflection of society and a sad reflection of how we've allowed ourselves to be pushed around by this.
Well, you're right. You're right, and I can see other societies around the world looking at us in the West and thinking, what is wrong with these people? I mean, I travel around the world extensively, but I see people looking at some parts of Western society, which is marvellous when you think about the freedoms and the progress Western society has made in liberty, democracy, and the rule of law. But on some aspects, they just think we're mad. And you know something? They're right.
I'm 51 years of age now, and I grew up in an era where it was really clear, and to have this debate, people would have raised their eyebrow and go, what are you talking about? And you've been through all those generations and probably thought the same. But when did this change? Who changed it, and when did it change?
Well, we always knew, and here's the sad thing about it, I'll make it very, very, very clear, but it's emerged on this MP Doyle matter, and, our social media on that stuff's got past 179,000, it's still rising. But when it happened, what happened was some people have abused the difference of people. We have people who are called homosexuals, there are people who are called lesbians. And they've got on in our society. But when they were misused by the Green Party in trying to defense of Doyle, the number of lesbians in particular who contacted us and said, look, these people are just abusing and misusing us. We are different, yes, we are. But we do not in any way accept the kind of sort of pedo behavior and pedo imaging that's going on here. And they were dramatically furious about it. We were actually quite stunned by the number from that part of society who we thought might have just not done anything we didn't know. But their reaction was just that we've been so appallingly miscast by Chloe and the Green Party. Here we go now on this issue. And what was fundamentally understood to be the case, not being, how shall I say, prejudiced against others, has just crept into be unmandated, without an election campaign, you can self-identify, and you've got to make it statutorily correct. And so that when you hop on a plane, no one knows what you are, because what you are is what is important. And in society and the laws and whoever's mixing with you, doesn't matter. I've got these fundamental rights. Well, the answer is no, you don't. It's biologically incorrect. It's biologically a lie. And you'll go back to acknowledging that the mass majority, who for thousands of years have believed one thing, are actually right.
Yeah, I've never been approached by so many gay New Zealanders as well in the last few weeks, where they all say, and it was pretty down one sort of line of thinking, which was, hey, this is not us. Please don't think this guy represents us, because we're appalled by this too. So New Zealand First would have never had so many gay New Zealanders be in contact to say, hey, please stand up for us, because that's where it's gone. They just get tarred with the same brush.
Well, I'll tell you something. Sadly, she's not alive now. But in my most difficult part of my political career, when I was being kicked out of the National Party and everything way back in the 90s, I had a woman who was a lesbian who was my number one supporter. And she went to the wire for me and kept me abreast of everything. I mean, without her, it would have been very difficult to survive the sort of manipulated, manufactured challenge there was to my career. And I've never forgotten. So, don't get me wrong. The truth of the matter is, I've learned enough in my lifetime to be blind to those matters, because that's what somebody's preference might be, to not be prejudiced about it. And the reality is, but when that person, just like many who've contacted me lately, heard that they were being roped into the Doyle type of narrative and every lousy, deceitful excuse he's been given, and supported by the mainstream media in the defense of him, which is outrageous, then they have been they've been so animated.
Well, I think the trans community's gone missing in this, actually. If the trans community found Doyle's behaviour and imagery and everything offensive, then why haven't they said so? Because they should have come out like other gay New Zealanders and said, this is not us.
Well, of course. I mean, and then he just went out flat out lying. Went out there flat out lying about this and that, and this is all innocent, and putting out images which everybody knows is not true, saying that's what it means. It doesn't mean what you think it means. It means this. And people are sitting there just aghast that they get away with that and get so much coverage. But here's the point. Why was the mainstream media so intent on doing nothing until I put a pitchfork and put it up their backside? Then when it happened, I went to the farm one day and said, you're going to do something, you lazy little... You're on the taxpayers' teeth. You're using our down money. You're not getting away with it. I'll just come off Morning Report with an argument on Morning Report, because they decided to start the interview with a Keir Starmer interview. Nothing to do with me at all. It's out of the UK, and then they say, look, here we go. And I thought, no. I asked them, so why did you have him on before me? This guy's in the UK. He's the Prime Minister over there. It's nothing to do with me at all. Mm. But you know how it goes. I think they're going to get away with it. I thought, I'm not going to put up this.
So how does this work? If this gets pulled from the ballot, then it just forces people to take a vote. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, the fact is, it's going to force the other parties to actually front up for a change, as they haven't been fronting up on these issues, ducking and diving and carrying on. I mean, it's actually appalling that we have got to this stage. So it's going to force the other parties to do something, and do it now.
And the Prime Minister,
what we asked them to do. Well, I didn't ask them because it's New Zealand First bill, you see.
Yeah. How do you think they'll vote? I mean, how will Chris Hipkins vote on this? He wasn't sure what a woman was recently.